I'm Joyce Hornady. You might say accuracy is my business. I make bullets.
You are listening to the Hornady Podcast.
Thanks for joining us and enjoy the show.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Hornady Podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Seth Swerczek. To my left, Marketeer Preston Lentfer. Unusual guest. Special guest, second episode, Michael Waddell. Michael, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me back on, guys. Awesome, man.
Yeah, first one's kind of a philosophical, you might say.
We're philosophizers.
Campfire talk, wasn't it? Yeah.
And that might get a little more technical.
We're getting down to it. Now, the listeners need to know, when you was running around as a kid shooting stuff, did you have a go-to cartridge? Did you have obviously we all started with the 22s and stuff, but our big game goes, did you have like a go-to? This was, my dad or my granddad's rifle.
Matter of fact, yeah, I did. It was the only one I had. Growing up in the South, you could hunt. It's pretty liberal in the way that you can be whatever age. And I remember I was 11 years old. My dad put a 30-06 on my shoulder, like literally, like the first gun outside of a 22, but the first high-powered rifle I ever pulled the trigger on when I was like 10 or 11 was a 30-06.
Bring the thunder.
Yeah, bring the thunder off the front porch. No hearing protection, just propped up on the front porch, literally like shooting at a jug or something, like, boom, yep, he's ready to go deer hunting. And I remember like my ears,
thanks, Dad.
It still happens from time to time.
Yeah.
It's weird.
And so at 12, I got my first deer, and it was with a 30-06, and not only a 30-06, the old 742 Woodmaster Remington. And that's what seemed like everybody hunted with, those old semi-automatics.
Yep.
And for some reason, Dad, we always shot, I think it was a 180-grain bullet out of that sucker.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a clue why or what. I just knew that, if you put the crosshairs on a 100-pound whitetail in Georgia, typically it crushed them.
Yeah. Well, you keep it simple.
It was very simple.
Yeah.
And we didn't shoot a lot of long range. Growing up in the South, our hunting consisted of a lot of, we did have some row cropping, some crop fields back in the day. Soybeans and corn similar to here, but it was a lot of hardwoods at the time. Then a lot of those hardwoods turned into planted pine forest, row pines. And so to see 100 to 200 yards you're pretty lucky. So it was pretty thick. Mm-hmm. So a 200-yard shot like that was worth bragging about. So I know a lot of the listeners here, they're waiting and even when I listen to it, I like the tactical, the long range calibers, the different type of new loads, the new calibers, like our, the 6.5 back when it came out. I mean, that was just revolutionary. And now they're still working on more. I've been dying to get one of those 300 PRC. I know Seth is going to talk me into a 7mm.
I'm going to keep you on the 300 PRC train.
So you're a 300, you're a 30
I got both.
Yeah. Might as well. What's better than a 300 PRC? Both. A 7mm. Yeah, two. Exactly. So, but yeah, that was my first. That was my first.
30-06.
And I remember my dad had a Winchester. It was the first gun he ever had, like a bolt action Winchester. Not bolt action, a lever action Winchester, like John Wayne shots,
Oh, yeah.
And it was an NRA model, and I still got that gun. He gave it to me, and just iron sights, 30-30, and I remember seeing him when I was really young. That was what he hunted with, but we were pretty didn't have a lot of. I wouldn't say we were broke. But I don't remember in those early years my dad having a lot of guns. Like he had his 30-06. It was a Model 4 Remington automatic.
Mm-hmm.
He gave me his old 742, so that was my first deer rifle. And then I remember he had that 30-30. He had an old Ithaca shotgun that he shot doves with. And then I remember there was a little double barrel 20 gauge, and then we had an old I think it was a Winchester 22 rimfire. And so 5 to 7 guns in this gun cabinet
Can do anything.
Yeah. And so as
practical.
we started hunting a lot more, I mean, I remember he would buy another one, and usually Mom would be like, "What are you buying another gun for?" Because $200 to $500 spend for our family was pretty big. That was like, Lord, that was a lot of money. And so but slowly over the years, when I really become my dad's hunting buddy, he obviously was the breadwinner. I'm just a kid. Yeah, I'm literally just a kid in middle school. we would go and we'd see an ad or go to a Buckarama and we'd see like that Brown and BAR. And remember it had that little adjustment on the end of the barrel.
Oh, yeah, the ball spray.
The balls, yeah. Not the bar, yeah, the Brown and ball spray.
Yeah.
And Dad like, we got to get us one of them. And so I remember we got a 25-06.
Oh, yeah.
And we thought we was something, and then later he got him a Remington 700, 300 mag, Winchester mag. And then so we slowly started putting together a collection. But looking back, I would say our family's always been somewhat of a 30 cal.
30 cal family. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. And 30-06, if you never, I'm going to say the word graduate past 30-06, great. You could still hunt your whole life. It's still fantastic.
You could do anything in North America if you had to.
Yeah,
I agree. Especially with the versatility and how y'all load a Hornady. I mean, even some of the competitors I would probably imagine too. But I mean, you could take a 30-06, and depending on what grain bullet.
Yeah, and the construction.
You can get some business done.
Yeah,
like I love a 308. Love a 308. I've shot all my elk that I've shot with a rifle. I've shot with a 308.
Really?
With the American whitetail load that we have, 150 grain, that interlock.
Yeah.
Crunch them, son. Shoot,
don't tell me.
Let me tell you something. I got video proof of it, too. I'm talking about putting it on them. I mean, I love it. I shot a giant at the Navajo Indian Reservation, he was right at 380. I cracked him one shot with that I call it my naughty 308, son. With that American whitetail load, and just go back and watch that video on Bone Collector, see how long it took him to hold it. You ain't got to get real technical to dish out death sometimes.
Let's talk about that rifle.
That is a fact.
So where I was going with that was, you started with the 30-06, and then you've made a career of obviously hunting for TV and now social media and stuff. You got to go to Cartridge. Sounds like the 308 or the 301 mag or 30-06. Talk about that 308. What is that rifle, and when did you pick it up, and what have you used it on?
It's funny. The gun, it didn't really have a crazy amount of sentimental stance with me, but it's an old Tikka.
Okay.
It's an old Tikka, just a run-of-the-mill, standard, out-of-the-box Tikka. Literally, even hunting elk and some of the stuff I've done with it's a 3x9 Bushnell scope.
Yep.
Very basic. Even with that, it's I've never really had to keep fighting a zero. Far as how you sight your gun, I haven't moved that scope forever.
Right.
It's just always on. I know the ballistics pretty well. Obviously, talking about the TV show, typically, even though I'm very intrigued with long range shooting and I'm wanting to learn a lot more about it,
sure,
just the technical aspects of it. That gun, in my mind, 300 and in, I just kind of know how to pull up. Yeah. And typically for our type of style of production or capturing hunts, that's a good solid that point and in. Mm-hmm. And so I've always had this desire, whether it's a bow or gun, I've always enjoyed getting close.
I think that's one of the most beautiful things.
I do too. And so I think we were talking, maybe it was Preston and I or Neil Davies and I talking yesterday. It's almost like for me, I've kind of got this place. I either want to get pretty darn close or I want to be way away. Yeah. Like meaning I either want to go and really dig deep and listen to all the podcasts here and figure out the really long range stuff. But there's that point of 300 to 500 yards that it's like, that's just kind of that in between no man's land. I either want to shoot them at 700 or 800 yards or I want to shoot them at 30. Yeah. It's like, it's a weird in my mind mix up. But yeah, that 308, I'm getting off subject. I talk too much anyway. But anyway, that 308, we worked with Tikka many years ago, and I'd always been a fan of Tikka. Is it Seiko, Sako?
Yep.
I think that's all in the same family. Yep. And so that particular gun, oddly enough, I bought that gun for my son Meyer, who is now 20. And so obviously I had, working with them, I had a couple Tikka guns that we used for the show. But I bought that gun as a gift for my son. And quickly after I was sighting it in with him, put him a 3x9 scope, I was out there shooting that sucker. First shot I've ever fired through it was literally that American whitetail, 150 grain, the original Joyce Hornady invention. And I shot a lot of the other 308 rounds through it. It never readjusted the trigger, nothing. Just literally put it on some lead bags and just started cracking it. And that particular round, I'm like, bro, at 100 yards, you could just cover them up with your thumb. I'm like, that is amazing.
I'll get you a different gun. This one's mine now.
Yeah, that's exactly. I'm like, this sucker, and I remember then like, man, this sucker's naughty. And I remember obviously he killed deer with it, and it seemed like everybody in my family has shot a giant animal with that little Tikka 308. It's
awesome.
crazy. My wife has got her best buck with it. Meyer went on to get his best buck with it. My son Mason, McCoy. Since then, all my hunting buddies have toted it. And so what it become without it never was real technical. And so what I've noticed that I bring that gun to camp because the 308 don't have a lot of recoil. No. I can guarantee you whether it's you guys or me, like, bro, 300 and in, hold here and squeeze, son, you going to kill it. I'm not going to sit there and, tell you with turrets and dial in this and that and check the wind and, some Chris Kyle stuff. It's just going to be like, bro, just put it on there. It don't kick. A woman can pick it up. You can literally take that same gun if you need to walk through and beat brush down with it. It's not like some, grandpa's gun that you're worried about a scratch on it. And so it's just kind of that gun. And when I tell you that old gun, that naughty sucker has laid down some giant animals. So it's really, cool. That's kind of the story of that little 308. It's become more sentimental to the point where I have a producer, Cohen Stone. We were hunting somewhere and he's like, dude, he called me and he was going to get the rifle hunt. And he called me, and he's got a couple guns. He said, can I borrow that little naughty 308? And I was like, absolutely. Come by and get the sucker. It's in the case. You know? It's like, whoa.
That's pretty cool.
Well, it started out as unsentimental and then quickly
it's become somewhat of a storyline. And I got an old shotgun that I call Grady.
I was going to ask about Grady. Yeah. I literally was going to ask about that.
Sucker, that gun, it's funny, that 308 in our circle of buddies and employees that we work with, all of us think about that little 308. And but likewise, I had an old gun I won, turkey calling. There's an old Remington 1187. And I've had that gun forever. And
how many hash marks does it have on
dude,
it now?
It's got to be over 100 now. It's just
easily, right?
Easily over 100. But not only that, I mean, people, so many cool names have killed turkeys with that gun, from Dale Earnhardt.
No kidding. Jeff
Foxworthy. Major League ball players, so many NASCAR drivers, so many different personalities, heroes of mine in the hunting industry. Because, think about it. If you guys were to fly to Georgia, come turkey hunt with me.
Probably just use your shotgun.
Yeah, like, hey, man, I mean, how many times you have that call? Like, dude, you got a shotgun I can borrow? I mean, shotgun's a shotgun, especially with a bead or red dot on it. Like,
we're going to shoot a turkey.
If you got a gun that's sentimental that you want to add one more notch to it, but dude, save the hassle of checking your gun. Just come on. I got tons of shotguns. Rifles a little bit more personal, I think, But so that's kind of the story that 1187 become just such a, hey man, take Grady. I had one gun named Grady and another named Lamont because I was a big fan of Sanford and Son. and the Grady and Lamont's what I called the guns. And so anyway, I've always been goofy like that.
It sounds like you need to build a case and put some plexiglass over it and put Grady in there. I mean it's been handled by some serious names.
Same with that gun. I've had friends, all of my buddies have purposely like, man, I want to take Grady and go kill a turkey. So all my closest friends have killed a turkey with it, from
and then
Jackson
they can say that they've same shotgun Dale Earnhardt.
Dale Earnhardt did.
It's crazy.
And Dale would actually ask for it. He was a big Remington guy because they had I think they was on the C post of the car. Bought that spot from Childress, an RCR racing, and obviously Dale was a huge outdoorsman, and so he was a big Remington guy. So he would come in before Talladega to hunt with the Realtree crew, and I was just a young whippersnapper. And so Dale would ask for me and a guy named Glenn Garner to take him. Glenn was a good turkey hunter, and Glenn now actually works for Jeff Foxworthy and manages his farm in Georgia. And so when Dale would get there, like, where's Garner? Where's Waddell? And Waddell, bring Grady.
That's awesome.
So it's like, awesome.
Iconic. That is pretty darn cool.
Hornady V-Match ammunition. Loaded exclusively with Hornady ELD VT bullets. The low-drag design of the ELD VT bullets provide high velocity retention and minimal wind deflection. Initial offerings include 22 ARC, 6 ARC, 6mm Creedmoor, 6.5 Grendel, and 6.5 Creedmoor. Elevate your varmint shooting experience, shatter records, and make your mark like never before with V-Match ammunition from Hornady.
that we're talking turkey hunting, but to go back to that Tika, when you're in the whitetail woods, you don't have to get crazy technical. You can. That's fun to do, but
Yeah, I grew up with a 3x9 scope.
it can be as effective as a 308 Winchester, some American whitetail, 3-9 scope on an accurate rifle, and you're good to go. And you've taken that rifle, like you said, on way bigger hunts, and you've used it on Western hunts as well.
A lot. I've gotten mule deer with it. I've not ever shot a moose, but I've shot, literally, I know that gun's killed 7 or 8 elk.
Wow.
And torch them. I've never even had anything close to thinking, oh man, we might not find this sucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot to do with accuracy, bullet construction, and the big one we harp on this show, so our listeners have heard this 100 times, but shot placement kills animals.
You broken record.
I know. Shot placement kills
Yeah.
animals. Everything else, bullet construction, expansion, all that stuff, that is all in a separate category. number 1.
It was said yesterday, and like I said, I know this world gets kind of woke and politically correct, but I think it's a very good testament to this when you say that. He said it's not the Indian, it's the arrow. And that is so true. I thought of Native Americans, you think they napped out broadheads with off quartz and flint and different, and put it on cedar shafts and made bows out of Osage orange and hickory and different things. And the skill set of that Native American is what brought it back. Yes, could you have good equipment? I think Hornady has certainly upped the game. I was watching that video yesterday, and Mr. Joyce Hornady and even the combination with him and even that story of spear.
Yeah, the burning spear.
That, I didn't realize that. I've worked with,
A lot of people don't.
I did not know that. And so if you think about it, spear, even though I'm assuming, again, talk freely on a podcast, I'm assuming there's a little bit of competitive edge now, but in the day, you think about some of the best bullets, as I'm talking about that American whitetail bullet. Mm-hmm. I'm not a gearhead or tech crazy guy when it comes to rifle and shooting, but I know enough to know, based on proof in the pudding and gut piles and the biology of death, that original Joyce Hornady bullet still is accurate and brings home the bacon, son.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you get something that good from the beginning.
Yeah,
If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But it's almost like, hey, what's next?
Yeah. Well, there's definitely a constant evolution.
And it has.
Yeah. CX
they have hit the pinnacle.
SST,
oh, yeah.
ELDX, but there's nothing wrong with that interlock bullet.
No, it's kind of crazy to think. You're speaking of our history video, and that's out there on the internet. And
yeah.
Like Joyce started the company because he needed a better bullet. It's not because he wanted to sell better bullets to everybody else. He needed a better bullet.
Yeah.
Right.
So he was trying to hit prairie dogs, and if you weren't grouping well, prairie dogs pretty darn hard to hit at a few hundred
they're
yards.
about this big for the viewer, right?
You needed a tight group.
Yeah, you're shooting 200-300 yards on a prairie dog, but your gun shoots 2 or 3 inches at 100. You're not missing because you're a bad shot. You're missing because your system isn't accurate enough. So he built a bullet that was accurate enough. And
you speak to the 150 grain interlock that's used in that American whitetail today is an adaptation of the very first bullet.
So that goes back to the 60s, 50s, 60s.
49.
Yeah. So there's been some technology changes, but the original bullet was a 150 grain 30 cal bullet. And it wasn't until the 70s that it got the interlock ring. But it always had that structured tapered jacket.
Yep.
And then he put some grooves in there. At the time, it was called inner groove. Mm-hmm. We don't even really call it out as a feature anymore, but that's certainly something we still do, where on the inside of the jacket, you guys will never see it, but on the inside, it's got skives in it that are placed in a certain location and a certain depth that they weaken the jacket so it expands very uniformly every single time. And that was pretty revolutionary way back in the day. And now, as a hunter, we just take it for granted. The bullet's going to expand. But, yeah, Joyce was...
That's one thing that I loved about hunting elk. This sounds a little morbid, but almost every one of those elk I killed on the opposite side of those ribs, typically all the way through the cavity, buried in the hide on the opposite side, I cut almost every one of those bullets out.
Yep.
And when I tell you they look like something y'all shot in the jail that you would save to show a customer or to proof, like one of the technicians or testers, whatever you would label them, to say, yep, built it right, still good. It's just perfect. It looks like just a perfect little mushroom.
That never loses the cool factor. You've killed a bunch of animals. We've killed a bunch of animals as well. Every single time I pull out a bullet, I'm like, oh, yeah, that's going in the little plastic
Or you'll be
case.
like, look here, here's a bullet. It's like a little Easter egg. Look, and you're getting your knife and cutting it.
Yeah.
I know if somebody who don't hunt is just a shooter, this probably thinking, them guys are sick.
There's something cool about it, honestly.
I agree.
I don't think we're sick.
I don't think
For
so
that
either.
reason.
Crazy? Yes.
Yes.
Sick? No.
Yeah, definitely crazy.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a turn here. This is,
Yeah.
Where are you going?
I got notes. These are completely, none of these have ever, this is all useless, as it turns out, so I've been kind of doodling on here. But I do have, I read something that's like, might not be the podcast for it, but we've all got hunting stories. We've all been on a bunch of hunts, probably no more probably in the county, maybe the state has been on more hunts than Michael. And we all talk about the good stuff. I'd really like to hear about your worst hunt.
Ooh,
My worst hunt? I've had.
if you can be honest.
Yeah.
Because somebody asked me, if somebody were to ask me that, I'd have to daydream about it. But there's some things where I'm like, oh, yeah, that was no good, as it turns out. That was bad. And then I'd talk about it now with a huge smile on my face. Like, it was so bad it's funny now. So I don't know.
I've had quite a few, and I'm not saying that I'm the guy that tries to say. I'm not saying that I'm the wonder salvager of all bad experiences, but I've gotten pretty good at watching and figuring out, like, this sucks. One time in particular, a hunt, and it wasn't all particularly because of the setup and the situation and the friend we're hunting with, but we go to South Dakota. Myself, Nick Munt, a gentleman named Mike McKenzie, who's now passed on. He passed away several years back. But we go out, and this is before I had a lot of chance to get a chance to hunt. I was a camera jock, a guide, working there in the hunting industry, and we had a chance to go out to South Dakota, and I was so excited, man. I had a whitetail hunt.
And South Dakota, home
South
of some
Dakota.
giant deer.
Yeah, great hunting. And this particular area had some good deer. And, well, as we get there, EHD had hit that summer and into that early season hunt, which was this was an archery hunt. And for the first 2 days, we're so excited. I'm selfishly ready to just get a deer so bad. This is my hunt. This is my hunt outside of in between my work schedule of running a camera and being on the road, documenting the show in the day of TNN Outdoors. That was my gift to me. Like, we all do. You guys work for Hornady. Sometimes it could be a hunt that pans out that, Seth, you're up. Preston, you're up, possibly. It's like, go. Yes. And so that was my hunt. And I get out there. There was no deer. Like, all of them, they were dead. Not because we shot them or nobody's fault. And so we just sat out there and we're glassing, looking for deer, like where are the deer, and we're finding dead deer. And it was just one of those natural, terrible situations. And so finally, it was me, and I was young, way before Realtree road trips, way before anything. I was not there to necessarily be this hunting guy. It was a gift for me to get a chance to hunt, and we were videoing. And I said, guys, you got to make the most of this. We're in a pretty cool part of America. There ain't no deer here to shoot. I mean, we got to get this out of our head. We're not going to get to hunt. And so we literally jumped back in our rental car, stopped at a gas station, got a little old foam cooler, bought a 12-pack of beer, and bought 2 or 3 boxes of them little Swisher Sweet cigars, and we took off and become tourists. And we went and saw the world's biggest ball of yarn, the biggest prairie dog, went to Mount Rushmore, went to bear country, and literally just like we were all in our 20s, early 30s, and we just went out there. Obviously, this wasn't going to be expensed back to the company. Yeah. We all just pitched in. It was almost like a college road trip. We're already there. Our airfare had been bought, and we turned it into an amazing, fun time. Kind of went off the grid, went and stayed in some little old, nickel and dime hotels, and went and ate buffalo and went to, like I said, Reptile World.
You did South Dakota stuff.
So it was the worst hunt / still a good experience. Since then, I've been with a lot of people that I remember one time me and David Blanton went all the way to Washington.
Daryl Blanda.
Yeah, Daryl, but we went to Washington, and this guy kept telling David, I was going to video David. Actually, I think I was going to get a hunt too. I'm trying to remember. I think I was going to get a chance to hunt too. It's one of those David filled his tag. I was going to get to hunt. Man, David said, dude, this guy's been sending me pictures, you know. And back in them days, it wasn't like a text. It was like sending a real
picture. Printed those off at the Walmart.
Yeah, he printed them off and sent them. And they were these big bucks in Washington. At the time, nobody thought about Washington State for whitetail deer. So we were so excited. Well, we get out there and ended up, the guy was a really cool guy, but he was a fan of Realtree Outdoors at the time. So we get out there. Well, this dude had was kind of a fan of the deal and kind of couldn't believe David would respond to his letter, and he did. And all of a sudden it got out of hand to where, oh my God, they're coming. Well, come to find out, all the places he took the picture was none of the places he could have permission to hunt.
Oh my gosh.
And so we go out there and we're sitting in this little forest and we're looking like a mile across this valley to where these deer were coming from in this alfalfa field. I mean, so far away you can't even see them with your binoculars. And I never forget, I had a funny saying sitting there in a tree. And it was legal to put out bait in Washington at the time, or at least I think it was. I hope I don't get David in trouble, statute of limitations. I'm sitting there with David. Well, this guy had apples. There were apples kind of piled up around a pine tree, like one of them big ponderosa pines like you see in the Black Hills. Mm-hmm. And we ain't seen nothing. I mean, ain't even no deer sign around these apples. And I said, David, I thought we was going to come out here and hunt an alfalfa field, these big bucks in the alfalfa tree. Instead, we done flew all the way from Georgia to hunt a damn pineapple tree. and we started laughing. So once again, we turned around and flew home. David talked to the guy, said, look, man, it ain't working out. And then since then, I've had several just crazy hunts that went sour. Some that was international, like my money got stole.
Oh, damn.
I had a terrible experience in South Africa and to where in Johannesburg, a typical idiot, goofy traveler and myself had my money in a bank envelope, you know, like SunTrust Bank, you know, what's in there, I wonder? Probably some cash. And it was. I had it in my backpack and all my cash got stolen.
Oh, my goodness.
I get over there, Mugabe's running for his second term or third term or life term, whatever, you know, and then the way the guy running against him, he had killed him, shut down all cell service. We're heading over to Botswana, and we're heading to Botswana, but we're going to go through Zimbabwe. So in Joburg, I stayed the night. There, I got my money stolen. Get on the flight the next day, flying to Victoria Falls. Then I swear I realized I had no money.
Oh my.
And then the buddies I were meeting up with, they ended up, their flight got canceled from, I think they were in Zambia, where they were flying in to meet me in Victoria Falls. Well, I didn't take any information. Like, I didn't have nothing. I'm like, I know, well, we'll meet you in Victoria Falls on this day. Like, guys, got you, got my ticket.
I'll be there.
And I was. Well, they're not there. And I'm like, well, I wonder where my buddies are. And I finally get to asking around. There's not even computers in the airport. This is back in 2007. And Victoria Falls is, you know, Zimbabwe is a third world country, and it's even more of a third world country because now no cell service works because Mugabe was running for re-election, a true dictator, you know. And so I'm sitting there, and I realized I had no money. I didn't know where my buddies were, and even more idiotic on me, I didn't even know where I was staying. Like the main guy, the hunting consultant that put the whole trip together, he was a guy I'm meeting along with Nick Mutt and two of our producers. So now we're going over to Botswana, and so we're going to hang out a couple of days in Zimbabwe and fish for these tiger fish. So I'm sitting here, and I'm just sitting on a bench out there in front of the Victoria Falls Airport, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I got no money. I got a phone. It don't work. I didn't even have I couldn't even find a pay phone, and if I did have a pay phone, I didn't know who to call.
Right.
So I'm thinking, okay, this lack of planning sucks on my part, and I'm feeling like so literally, you're talking about lucky. I'm sitting there on this bench, literally, like, I don't know what to do. And, man, I'm telling you, luckily, here comes a guy walking out, and he walks out, and I can tell he's an American. And he's walking out, and he kind of does a double take. And he looks over at me, he says, Michael Waddell? And I'm like, yes, sir. You know, and this has been a while back, and I said, yes, sir. He said, man, what you doing over here? I said, man, that's a good question.
Funny you should ask.
And I said, man, that's so crazy. I said, Look, man, I ain't never been so happy as somebody recognized me because I don't have a clue. And I was explaining, he was laughing. And I really wished I knew this gentleman's name. It'd just make my whole year or life at this point if he heard this. And he's like, where are you staying? And I said, I don't even know. And I said, man, I don't know. He said, well, dude, you're welcome to jump in and ride with us. I said, look, I don't have no money. I have credit cards. I don't know. I don't know how to do. I'm busted. I don't know. I'm going to sleep on this bench, I guess. I realized that my buddies were coming in the next day. Come to find out, thank God I run this guy because they still didn't get there to 2 days later.
Oh, my God.
So I was busted. And this dude said, man, it's funny. He said, I hunt here. He was one of the safari club type guy, hunts Africa every year. Like, oh, this year we're going on a safari in Botswana. Next year's Zimbabwe. Next year we're going to go down to wherever, Mozambique. And he had done shot all the big animals. And he said, man, it's funny. I heard rumor that you were going to be staying with Russell Caldecott at the Ultimate Lodge, that potentially you guys were coming to do a show. And I said, that sounds pretty good. And he said, well, you want me to take you by there and see if that's true? Dude.
That'd be cool.
They take me there, and when I get there, Russell Caldecott, who's in a wheelchair, he'd been in the Rhodesian War, flipped his Land Rover. And before it was Zimbabwe, an older guy, but a legendary PH. He's like, hey, Michael, how you doing? I don't know a good South African accent, but
where's Neil when you need him?
And I'm thinking, thank you, Jesus. This guy led me to where I was supposed to be, almost like he was an angel. And sure enough, I stood there. I hung out at this lodge where I was supposed to be and waiting on my buddies. And actually the next day, one of the African trackers who could drive drove me into Botswana, where I was able to take, at the time, the regular ATM card and get some, I think it was Bula's, maybe was the money, whatever that. It was some more cash. Yeah. So now at least I had a couple $100.
Yeah, had something.
Of something while I was there. So that turned out to be a great hunt, but that was a terrible experience of nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
But I could probably talk for 2 hours on the bad ones. For every good one, we've had some bad ones, but I have learned to try to make the best of a bad experience. Well, you get good at it.
I was going to say, on our first recording that we did, which, will air sooner than this one, we talk a lot about that campfire culture. And within that, there's a lot of finding a silver lining, because there's a lot of things that don't go your way on a hunt. Actually, when you think about it, the majority of things are usually working against you on a hunt, and it's your job to make that fun and to find the silver lining. Now, the international travel and...
Well, if you're that guy, and you're listening to this, email us at podcast@hornady.com.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
We'll get you in touch.
It was unbelievable, man. It was like an angel. I remember like this dude saved my life.
You got to believe in a higher power after stuff like that.
Well, especially the way he said it,
Yeah.
I think you're supposed to be staying at this.
What's the chances? I don't even know. And luckily, this dude was such a dialed-in guy. He knew people. Mm-hmm. He just, conversation. He's talking
to swing by. It's no problem.
Yeah, like they're doing a show over here, or whatever. But there was a lot of shows people were doing then,
My gosh.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
The 6mm GT. Get the competitive edge and the eye of the tiger. Designed from the very beginning to be an amazing all-around precision rifle competition cartridge. Available in the Hornady match ammunition line with the 109-grain ELD match bullet. When the competition is on the line, trust the proven pedigree of the 6mm GT from Hornady.
Talked about some bad stuff. Let's talk about some good stuff. Looking forward into 2025 and into 2026, you got any big hunts planned where you're going to be using our stuff? Because obviously we all like to hear about what's upcoming.
Yes. Always elk. I always try to crack an elk.
Well, you got to get that little one for your wife for the bathroom.
Yeah, the little one. Yeah, my wife wanted a little elk for the bathroom, for the guest bathroom. But I'm selfishly, I love elk hunting. Mm-hmm. So I always try to get an elk with a rifle and an elk with a bow. It's almost like I love it. So sometimes, you draw those tags in a rifle area, or sometimes, you can find a place that you can get private access, just whatever get places
just
to go.
Get you in the elk woods.
Yeah, that's what I tell people. You never buy an elk. You pay for the right to trespass on somebody's land that they own. That's what you do. And so anyway, we got some really cool elk hunts coming up.
Nice.
To where, in my personal opinion, like even when you get outside of maybe those African big game, dangerous games, the Cape Buffalo, even those eland and stuff, if you in North America, I don't know that there's anything put together as well as a wild elk. So to me, it's the ultimate trophy for.
Yeah. Well, they're tough. It's not just like they're physically assembled really good, but then their tenacity to live is really unmatched.
Yes, you gotta pump them. They're put together. I mean, if you don't just pinwheel them, no matter what you got, it usually causes a lot of heartache and grief. And so, for me, it's the best product test on. That's why I always brag about the little 308 and that interlock. It's like, okay, dude, that says all you need to know.
Yeah.
150-pound whitetail in Georgia. Okay, I mean, we can pull out a lot. On the reverse side of that, I'll back up from a technical aspect. Neil Davies, who obviously works here and in marketing here at Hornady, he is always, every time we've hunted together, he always obviously has rifle hunted with Hornady product.
Yep.
He seems to always bring something to push the envelope to prove once again, here's what you can do with accuracy and performance. And so he has shot some really big elk that we videoed him with that 6.5 Creedmoor, which
he did.
Which obviously it's like the Creedmoor, everybody loves or hates it. It's almost like,
they love to hate it.
Yeah, it's like you love to hate it. Even the people that hate it, like, I'm so tired of hearing about the Creedmoor. Then like, I think I'm going to order me one tomorrow. It's like,
I do like mine.
I do kind of like it. And so anyway, I enjoy that. And probably my favorite thing, the favorite thing I do with rifles and good ammunition is the cultural journey back to my roots of hunting deer with the old 30-06.
Yeah.
Last year I hunted a lot. Never killed. I did kill a bobcat and a possum with it, but a 30-30, same thing, American Whitetail 30-30 ammo with that lever action iron sights. I want to get me a good deer with that 30-30 because it was my dad's first deer rifle.
Got
a lot of nostalgia.
Yeah.
And so I typically go over to Mississippi. We rifle hunt some over there. And then around the house. And I still like the idea of gathering up in a hunting area with a rifle over your shoulder. And I think it's safe to say everybody knows I love archery.
Of course,
I love archery.
A lot of
but
archery
there's something
shooters
about
here, too.
that smell of Rimmel and
Oppie's number 9.
Yeah, yes, Oppie's number 9, absolutely. And a box of ammo in your pack or extra clip in your.
Oh, we didn't have packs back then.
Yeah, didn't have packs. Yeah.
And an oatmeal cream pie in your cargo pocket.
And just all going. Like, where are you going? Like, man, I'm going to go over here to platform stand. Well, why don't you
I'm
go?
going over to this hill over here.
Yeah, I'm going to Hollow One, or, if you're living out here, I'm going to go sit on this hill over here, or whatever it is, however you do it, or I'm going to drive my truck down this road, whatever.
Well,
that happens.
That does happen.
And so for us, it's like, I think I'll go to the platform stand. All right, well, you go to platform. I'm going to go to road stand. Who's going to boat seat? Somebody needs to go to boat seat. Like, Seth, go to boat. Oh, you think so? All right. And then you sitting up there.
That's just classic.
I love that. Classic.
Americana.
100%. Getting back to breakfast, then you cracking off a few rounds. You listen like, man, I think Uncle Tommy, I think that was him that shot. But you already know there's going to be a good little breakfast when you get back. Somebody, and it's not even always a camp. It sometimes can be, everybody's house. Hey, everybody's going over here and go grab some breakfast, or we're going to run over here to this cafe. And I revisit a lot of that. To me, rifle hunting is a lot more, it's not as technical as I think a lot of people probably listening. For me, it's not as technical. It's just what I know. And I just go back to somewhat the stock guns, stock, good quality ammo, and stock guaranteed always good times and memories. That is kind of my rifle deal. I'm not very technical. I just want to be able to understand what's out there. I love learning. I find myself digging more into the long range stuff just because I'm intrigued with it, and the performance is amazing.
You wouldn't say necessarily that you're a long range shooter right now, I would say, by any means. However, and maybe we shouldn't even talk about it since this is Hornady, but I have to ask for my own curiosity. You're an archery hunter. Like, you've taken some long shots, what I would consider really, really long shots on elk,
Yeah. With my
74 yards.
With my bow and arrow. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, that's probably just out of necessity, though, I suppose,
It is out of necessity. It's almost like And it makes me wonder, like, even as you compare that to the long-range tactical shooter, even if there's military and snipers that's listening and are somebody that's hunting trophy animals, sheep, maybe elk, especially, bighorn sheep and those desert sheep, you're doing it out of necessity. And through necessity, I've always thought, and it gets back to that Joyce Hornady story, what I like about that, some of the best things in life, in my opinion, come out of somewhat selfishness. Like, in my mind, when I use that, I'm not saying Mr. Joyce was selfish. He was not. If you see the Hornady family story, gracious, giving, fun, give back to community, good to their employees. But selfishly, he wanted a bullet that was more accurate, more deadly, dependable. It's still the tagline.
Yeah.
All right. He did that not at first to think, I tell you what, one day we'll have big old buildings and warehouses in Grand Island, Nebraska. He was just thinking, I am tired of missing a prairie dog at 300 yards. Selfishly, I don't want to miss a one of them.
Mm-hmm.
Technical mind, you see Mr. Joyce, he always had those couple. I don't know. I just think I'm going to start doing that when I go to meetings. It's like I look smart, have a couple of good pens, like a pencil and a pen, like
a calculator.
That'll certainly help.
That dude's got to be smart. Dude. Preston even had the pen and pencil. That's a smart guy. Maybe a little notepad that's spiral bound.
Oh, yeah.
You just think of a guy, they pull that out, like just have some deep thoughts and write down the root of pi and then figure out some centrifugal force how to make the.
Like cherry or apple or peach?
Yeah.
Pie?
Exactly. It makes me want to start smoking a cigarette again with a pocket protector because I look smart, and like I'm thinking.
1960s engineer.
The engineer, right?
Yeah.
But it was created out of selfishness to perform. It's like great music. I'm convinced Hank Williams Jr., when he sat around and watched, wrote Whiskey Bent and Hell Bound, he wasn't trying to make a hit. He just like.
That sounds good to me.
I like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm into myself and my music enough that I like this. I hope y'all like it. We all ended up from Georgia to Nebraska riding down dirt roads, listening to that song. But so anyway, with that, that's kind of how I feel about even long range. It's not by selfishness. Yes, I make the 85-yard bow shot to kill an elk because I want to get him. I think somewhere the first long range shooter, whether it was a sniper in Vietnam or World War I, whenever, like, this guy, here's the bad guy, I got to take him out.
Yeah, it's way easier to do it when he's far
away.
Correct.
Yeah. Did they all really want to get a little closer?
Probably.
Yeah. And no, did the sheep hunter say, dude, that's 800 yards? Did they probably look and try to figure out a way to slip up and say, I can get 200? I think most every time they did, especially when you got that much money riding on a shot.
Right.
But through that and the technicality, the technicians, and the really brilliant people behind the scenes in our ammunition here at Hornady, there's somebody, as we speak, there has probably been hundreds of rounds shot trying to get to that next level of what that might look like. I mean, where does it stop? Is it a 2-mile shot? I mean, maybe that's all right. I don't know, but and a lot of people get kind of weird about it, like, oh man, that's just too much, too far. I don't think you're ever going to not push the hand of evolving to the next best, but I think it comes from an element of selfishness, not hobby. And I think sometimes where that selfishness meets performance, then it becomes a little bit more hobby, like, okay, I never had to shoot a deer. It's like now you set up your food plots where I could probably get 100 yards, but I'm going to set it up here and I'm going to shoot that doe in the food plot at 700 yards. Just because I can.
Sure.
That happens.
Yeah. But I think you're right. There is an element. I think all hunters share it, like the pursuit of getting close. And we talk about coyote hunting a lot on this podcast. Yeah. I've shot coyotes at some pretty far distances. I've never shot a coyote that was still coming, though. If I could shoot him in my lap, I'd rather shoot him in my lap. And, yeah, it's fun to shoot the one. The story I always talk about, or the idea I always talk about, is when they come in and then they banana out and then they sit down 400, 500, 600 yards away or whatever. Like, it's fun to hit that dog because he beat you, but ultimately you got the last laugh. But it's way funner when you shoot him at 40.
It's way better when you're doing a shotgun range.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, so many times when I've been anywhere, I've coyote hunted, predator hunting, usually one of us is sitting there with a shotgun. Yeah. Usually you got to dialed in. Okay, if he stops out there at 500, somebody crack him. We're ready for it. Mm-hmm. But we're also, you sitting there with a shotgun, like, let him come. Let him. Oh,
what you're hoping
and then,
for.
then he gets in there 20 yards and spooks, and you pop him with the double alt buck. I've done that a lot.
That is pretty exciting.
Almost like the times I've done it, we'll switch out. Like, okay, you start on a rifle, I get shotgun. If he breaks here, he's mine. It's almost like that's kind of a fun way to predator hunt.
It is.
Because you kind of got it covered. You got a crack shot. If he sits down out there at 300 yards, he's dead. With when you got it. But vice versa, you sitting there with, let him come. Don't you do it. He just stopped at 200 and he's looking like, I could take him. I know, but let's see if he comes. I think that's how I look at everything. I'm out there having fun, man. But I also like the technical part of knowing you've got this technology and you've got, in this case, an ammunition that's going to deliver an unbelievable, devastating blow of penetration. But then guess what? Well, it's got to get there accurately.
Right.
So I am blown away at the technology that this stage we're in. That's one thing I was talking to Jason. I forget the gentleman that I met down there in the testing lab in the tunnel where they test the bullets. And
I'll be Todd.
It was Todd. And we were talking about cans, silencers.
Suppressor,
cans seems to be the right word that everybody uses that understands what it is. And then I was talking to him. I said, man, from a basic standpoint, where now I realize where Hornady has a whole level of some of the best hand loading accessories. So if you, from an artistic hobby standpoint, you can buy everything you need to load your own ammo.
Right.
From Hornady. And I think there was a big element that in the beginning that Mr. Joyce started that came with that.
Right.
However, it's gotten to the point, it's kind of like we all kind of blue collar people, which we are, we have the tools to change our oil in our shop. But it's become to the place to where it's a little bit more efficient just to pull into the oil drop, 5 minutes, you don't even get off the call. And you kind of feel like, at least our like us men kind of feel like a sissy, like making sure
Hopefully
nobody sees me.
Yeah, nobody sees me. I can change my own oil, but it ain't even cost effective to buy the filter and your time to do it.
Exactly.
So anyway, I think ammunition and guns are to that point where you can go buy a stock box of ammunition that's been tested, whether it's the whitetail, whether it's the custom ammo, whatever you want to buy you a nice solid, pick your manufacturer, possibly put you a trigger on it. I don't know. Get you some good glass. And bro, there ain't much you can't do.
That's true. We're at a point technologically where we hand load out of posterity.
Nostalgia.
Yeah.
It's like, but you certainly don't have to. And there is something to be said about changing your own oil or loading your own ammo.
Cutting your own grass.
Yeah, there's a place for it, but there's also a place for being able to get a factory product that works, dependable. And when you got those old rifles, you talk about your dad's 30-30, you can buy a box of factory ammo. It's going to work in that rifle perfectly. I mean, it doesn't get much more American than that. And to be truthful, as we kind of wrap this thing up, I didn't think, obviously we're all patriots here. I didn't think the American-owned thing was going to be as big of a thing as it is. But in the industry that we're in, that's getting to be less and less common to be an American-owned company, and that's something that we're awful proud of here. We make product lines like the American Whitetail, for example. We're an American-owned company.
I love that,
and that doesn't happen super often anymore.
I tell you what I like about it. I like the packaging too. I love the product, but by God, I have no problem being, patriotic and proud of where I come from, and so I think that's a heck of a name, American Whitetail. Like.
You can do a lot else with it.
Didn't they come up with America University? Isn't there like a USA University? I think they are.
Really?
Maybe not. I've always thought that would be the number one selling merch.
You would think.
You would think. Yeah.
I'm from Georgia, so, you got Georgia, you got Alabama. It's like, you putting on the state. Why don't you just do America University?
You'd sell more shirts, probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Like.
There's no better time to stock your reloading bench and light up your range. With Hornady Get Loaded Plus. New this year, free bullets or free cases when you buy these select Hornady reloading tools. Plus, receive the free HIT Target Impact Indicator. Hornady Get Loaded Plus. Free bullets, free cases, free HIT Target Impact Indicator. Get loaded and light it up with Hornady Get Loaded Plus. Limitations apply. Visit Hornady.com/getloaded2025 for further details.
So I've got a question for you, Michael, that we ask everybody. Before we get there, though, I wrote this down because you mentioned it, and it took me back. I mean, I had like some core memories unlocked in my brain that I didn't know were in there. You mentioned filming for TNN. TNN, when we was kids, that was everything. We watched bull riding, we watched boxing, we watched hunting shows on TNN.
Yeah,
do you remember that?
We didn't get that. We got 5 channels.
Yeah, well, when we
one.
first got the satellite,
my parents didn't get satellite until I was out of the house.
Preston's still enjoying this electricity.
Yeah.
Just come a long way. Air conditioning.
It just blew me away. He said TNN, and I remember watching there was Tuesday night fights and Friday night fights.
And NASCAR.
Yeah,
you could watch NASCAR on Sunday.
And then there was hunting on Saturday and Sunday mornings. Bull riding was on all the time. It was a great channel.
I did get to watch Babe Winkleman on CBS.
Oh, yeah.
That was on a standard 5-channel TV.
Babe have that cup of coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, it was like Grizzly Adams,
Yeah.
And Chris's Kitchen.
It was like a cross between Grizzly Adams and Chuck Norris to me.
Yeah, I know.
They kind of looked like...
Yeah, Jackie Bushman and...
Sure.
I mean, heck, I remember, was it Mark Sosa? No, Mark Sosa was on ESPN maybe. But, yeah, those characters were huge to me.
I don't know, TNN, just wow, I forgot about that
The
channel.
Nashville Network, son. I mean, that was major stuff.
That was back when cameras were this big.
They were huge. Them beta cameras we used to tote around.
That's why you're in such good shape.
Now you can look at these cameras. These do 4K.
Oh, man, I know. You run around now.
They can get smaller ones than that.
And they're amazing. I mean, think about what you can pull out with your iPhone, but make some pretty good videos. And now they got them, the Meta glasses that look like little Ray-Bans.
Yep.
I've seen some video on them. It's pretty amazing.
And it's like you're not even doing it.
Yeah.
Because if you're used to wearing glasses, that's just what you're doing.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing.
We're getting to the question now.
Oh,
now, Michael, we ask this to every guest that we have.
I think we already know
the
answer. I think the listener knows the answer.
Probably. But for every new guest, we ask them, in a hypothetical world that you're about to enter into, you can have an unlimited number of firearms. Which is great.
They can be short. They can be long.
Pistols,
they can be heavy.
rifles.
They can be light.
Any configuration. You have millions of them. However, they have to be chambered in the same cartridge, and you have to use that for all your hunting and shooting. Do you have a go-to one cartridge? And if you had a Hornady bullet to pair that up with, what would you pick?
Yeah, for sure, a 30 cal. As a matter of fact, if it's just one, so people would probably say it's probably going to be the 308. I would think overall, if I had an unlimited amount of the ammo,
of course,
unlimited amount of ammo, and I got one caliber, probably right now, based on my knowledge and what success I've had, probably a 300 Winchester mag. But in any particular, absolutely, Mr. Joyce's original interlock, proven, tried, tested. I probably would know. And then if you went a step further and say, hey, you're not even sure what gun you're going to get. You don't know if you're getting a Ruger, Remington 700. You don't know if you're going to get the Tikka.
Yeah.
I would say by rule, just my limited experience of sighting in rifles and shooting, I would probably put a 4x12 scope, and I would probably be fine, completely fine with our American whitetail line.
There you go.
Because I know for a fact, more than likely, I'm not saying I couldn't find something in our line, and I would probably say 150 to 165 grain bullet, possibly might even go with, say, a 180.
Yeah.
I'd probably say 180. 300 Winchester mag, and only because even though a lot of things I'd end up shooting be overkill, but for some reason, if I come across a moose, if I come across everything, I know it's flat shooting, decent amount of recoil, but not bad enough to where you couldn't handle it because you're living off this caliber.
Mm-hmm.
And that's probably what I would have. I definitely want a bolt gun.
Yeah.
Well, you can have as many guns as you want. Of any shape and kinds.
Infinite amount of guns.
Infinite amount of guns, but one caliber.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it'd be 300 mag, and then I'd have a lot. Yeah, I'd have a lot.
We should have put more rules on it.
No,
I got to thinking about this. I got to thinking about it as he's talking. What if you couldn't have a bow? What if you couldn't have a shotgun?
Nobody said you didn't have a bow. I didn't say you couldn't have a bow.
What if you couldn't? What if you couldn't? Then I'd probably pick a 12-gauge shotgun.
Yeah, or like the evolution of that little 17. Or, dude, a 22 long rifle. Let's not forget, if all of a sudden the rules and engagement by NATO said you got to fight with a 22 long rifle, America wins any war.
Yeah.
Immediately.
No, you're not wrong.
Immediately.
Maybe just the Midwest.
Matter of fact, I could probably call Kansas, California, Oregon, and Washington, like, set this out. Nebraska, Georgia, and Alabama are just going to fight the World War.
Yeah, we'll be fine.
Because we got enough. I don't know what it was.
Throw Wisconsin in there.
I've always said
do it by
rednecks in the
itself.
South, when they see snow, first thing you do is immediately, there's 3 things you buy: gas, bread, and milk. You might not like bread and you might not like milk, but by God, you buy them. Oh, there's a damn storm coming. Country, blue collar, even the technical people out here listening. Mm-hmm. When times get nervous, what do? You just walk into Academy, you walk into Walmart, you walk into any sporting goods store, pro shop, and the first thing you do when you got some weirdo that might be president and they're going to take away our guns, you're like, man, y'all got a tub of 22 long rifles?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't come here for it, but I'm going to leave with a brick.
I feel like
Oh,
I need
you have
to
some?
stockpile
Let me
these
get
suckers.
that.
Let me go ahead. And not only do you get them, some of the cheapest ammo you can with the lowest margins of any manufacturer making them, and not only, you want to make sure nobody shoots them.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I mean, 22s are the ultimate plinking.
It's not for fun. No,
Dude.
you got to have a stockpile.
I mean, I got kids like, is anybody, I'm like, remember on Step Brothers, somebody playing my drums, like, did somebody shoot some of my 22 ammo?
There's only 10,000 rounds sitting
like,
there.
Preston, I told you to help yourself. I did not tell you to shoot my 22 ammo. Which dude, yeah, we shot a few cans and went squirrel hunting. Like, how many did you shoot? Like, I don't know, 30 or 40. What was you freaking shooting at? I mean, it's like,
Out of 550?
yeah, you only got 10,000 rounds right here. So, yeah.
And the other cool part, 10,000 round takes up
This
yeah,
Oh God!
yeah,
It's almost like that. If somebody had remember those MTV Cribs?
Oh yeah.
I think that was the first thing I would do to show out and flex. Be like, let me show y'all something. There's 30,000 rounds of 22 long rifle.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's putting it out there.
At times, that would be like, holy cow, I don't think everybody's got
You
it.
might could pick
Yeah.
up a chick
Everybody's
with that.
got
dude.
it.
You
Well,
might,
back
yeah.
in the day.
Yeah, back in the day.
Well, to bring it all back, the 300 Win Mag, often referred
Yes.
to as the Lord's Caliber. It is a great cartridge
Yeah.
choice, very applicable. You throw a 180 grain spire point in there in American whitetail. Not much you couldn't do with that.
Can I now ask y'all a question of convincing? Because obviously, I've talked about 308,
Yeah.
talked
Oh, yeah.
about 300 mag. My dad had a 30-30. It's like we had another round I used to really like was the 280.
Classic.
Or used to be. Matter of fact, I have an old barrel that still says 7mm Express, which was the
Wow.
first
Yeah.
Yeah.
before it was called a 280. But now let me ask you guys, knowing that you got a lot of the Hornady diehard listeners of the podcast, if you were to convince me now, based on your knowledge of knowing me, to know I love 30-06, 308, and a 300 Win Mag for my long range stuff, what do I get in a PRC, the 7mm? If I only got one, based on, tell me what is better, the 7mm PRC or the 300 PRC?
Let me answer
Wait,
first.
No,
Before
no,
you go, let
I'm
me
not gonna
answer.
You can answer first. Listener, YouTuber, comment what you think we're going to say
Yes,
here.
this needs to be going. That if it's the Apple, wherever they listen, I want the people
Yeah,
to come in
yeah.
and put the comments there.
All right, Preston, go ahead.
As we get to know you and we
Yes.
hang out more often, maybe we can get together and shoot at the long range sometime. This is what I'm taking into account.
I love his whole demeanor.
Oh, yeah. He's set the
is-
stage.
I used to do this
I love it. I love
for
it.
a living.
I love
you
it.
know?
I love it.
I'm going to suggest you run into the 7 PRC.
The 7 PRC.
And I'm a 30 cal guy, right?
So this is coming from, you love the 300 mag.
I love the 300 PRC. I will
Mm-hmm.
never love a 300 Win Mag. No offense to your answer.
Okay.
I just had trouble with a couple of 300 Win Mags in my life
So
that wouldn't shoot.
not accurate. Just do it
Right.
shoot accurate.
Right. But I love the 300 PRC. I think as if you were to spend a morning, spend an afternoon, spend a day at the range, you would much rather shoot the 7 PRC from an enjoyability standpoint.
So not quite as much recoil, maybe.
No, I mean
Are there just the grouping?
No,
typical
I
battle?
mean they're both accurate. They both shoot high BC bullets. They both shoot a modest speed. The 7 PRC just got less powder than the 300 PRC. It's a smaller case,
Okay.
so you'll be able to shoot it a lot longer.
So flat shooting sucker. How does that compare to your old 7mm Winchester mag, vice versa, and a 300 Win Mag, or 7 mag and a 300
You call them
mag?
both modern cartridges, like
Mhm.
a a lot of times you'll see a 7 mag or a 3 Win mag and the bullet shoved way in the case. Right? I know we talked about that on the tour yesterday, but if you can modernize the case, get rid of the belt, give it a nice shoulder angle, get the bullet out of the case, and put an appropriate twist rate in the barrel and a good chamber, they just shoot better.
So basically, those PRC, you can put more of the bullet hanging out of this case.
Yep.
Okay. Seth?
I got nothing to add. That's the right answer.
So
in my opinion, the recoil reduction from 7mm to 300 PRC is to the tune of 30% less recoil. It is very noticeable less recoil. So if you're in the business of elk, moose, grizzly bears, big, huge animals, and you need a lot of energy, the 300 obviously wins because you're shooting a significantly heavier bullet. The 7 PRC offers you way less recoil, flatter trajectory, and then you can shoot a brown bear with it. You shoot a moose with it. You could shoot elk with it.
What grain bullet we're talking?
175.
Dude, that's plenty. I mean,
or we have a monolithic bullet, the 160 CX. If I was going to shoot a brown bear, I would take a 7 PRC and I'd shoot the 160 CX. But
the CX ammo, 160.
Yeah, it's just it holds more weight. Regardless, it's going to kill everything you've ever hunted in your entire life at any distance you've ever shot an animal. It's going to do it effectively, and it's going to do it with significantly less recoil. It's just way more pleasurable of a shooting experience. 300 is awesome.
It's awesome.
It's a missile. It's a cruise missile.
You seen?
Oh yeah, I've got it right here. I think this is the 300. Y'all gave me this the first. Y'all gave me this as a gift.
The 7 PRC is probably about this long, and the case is about here. So it's
a quarter inch to half inch shorter.
Yeah. Yep.
And all right, I got another question. Like I said, I don't know if there's any rifle or affiliates that work. If me and a listener, maybe not your high-end technical that's got every caliber out there, but if you're going to go buy one brand of gun or a couple, when I say brand of gun, okay, we've landed on the fact that it's a 7mm PRC.
Yeah.
But obviously in that world, you've got, like I've talked about Tikka. Now, I don't work with a rifle manufacturer. I'm just a fan of it. Years past, I've worked with Tikka professionally. I've worked with Remington professionally. I worked with Thompson Center back in the day. But if you were to say, okay, I got to guarantee myself I need to buy this one gun out of stock, I don't have any adaptations to put to it. I got to go with the factory trigger and the factory action, and I'm going to buy this 7mm PRC straight from my box, landing on whatever box that you decide, whether it's that 165 or 175 grain, whatever it is. I'm asking, like I said, I know I'm putting you on the spot. I know y'all got buddies at y'all got friends at every rifle manufacturing.
I've got a few answers, and you wouldn't be wrong with any of them, and then some. And there's all kinds of different budgets.
That's the big thing.
So the budget's the big one. One of the first ones that comes to mind, or the first two that come to mind, are Seekins PH3. That one comes to mind. That is a damn nice rifle. It's going to shoot well. It is.
What'd you
awesome.
say?
Seekins.
Seekins.
Yep.
Now, is that something you can find at your...
You go to Shields right now and buy it in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Okay.
The other one that comes to... There's three of them, I said two. Second one that comes to mind is a Savage 110 Ultralight. Carbon fiber barrel, Proof Research carbon fiber barrel, MDT folding stock. So it collapses down to nothing. Great trigger on those.
They have the accurate trigger.
Yeah.
I have shot. That's pretty impressive.
So there's that one, and then Springfield Waypoint 2020. You can get that carbon fiber. You can get that really, really nice.
That was your three. You're out.
Well, no, and then I'm jumping to the other on the economical side.
Well, I was going to do the economical. Okay. So those are a little bit more almost. They're production, but they are a little bit more pricey. And they've got some nice features.
You're talking about the ones that Seth named.
Yes.
They're
Bergara's in there.
Yeah, Bergara. I've heard good things about those guns too.
But shout out to the man behind the camera.
Okay.
The number one option, I think, for me, if I was just go get one, I know how it's gonna feel. I know how it's gonna shoot. It's a Ruger American.
Yeah. Just a Ruger American.
Yeah.
So what are you talking? That's a $500 gun?
Yeah, $500-$600.
Can't go wrong.
To me, I would say if anybody's watched any of our shows or heard me rant, which I get pretty philosophical.
You do?
I'm an old school.
Oh.
I'm old traditional, but but I often think about that. Like I'm definitely get into the custom rifles and the building out a rifle and putting. But then I often think, whether it's a dirt bike, sometimes a car. I've often thought like in the industry, I'm dialed in. I mean, I could say the same on say archery. It's like, man, dude, you ain't got to go crazy. Just go buy this sight, this bow.
And you're going to be fine.
And you're going to rock and roll. And I think sometimes we get so technical and tactical that, we piddle with stuff. Yeah. But sometimes that's what I've often like, man, and I've done it, man. I will be in a sporting goods store ready to really, write a check or buy a, or buy a gun. And I'm thinking, dadgum, man, I need to call Seth. I need to call Neil. I need to call Preston. Like, well, what is this? What is that? And so most of the time when I get to these camps, honestly, somebody's pulling out a gun, and I don't even know how to pronounce it, and it's got this trigger, this barrel, this stock.
Oh, they know every single component to it.
And they got these.
Custom built.
I've never even seen the oh my God, the scope mounts. I've never seen. I'm like, bro, where back in the day, I remember just buying a Remington 700.
Right.
It had a scope on it.
Yeah, scope on it. You bought it used. It's like it had a 3x9. Last question I got, and again, I know we're going a little longer, but
that's all right.
What is your favorite? You guys from a scope perspective, what's your favorite? I say reticle or variable. Is it 3x9, 4x12, 16 up to 16?
If we're hunting,
well, let's even go further. Yeah. It's on that. I've decided. I've got either one of the guns that Seth recommended, the Ruger American, and I want to put one variable. Obviously, I've had really good luck, say with the Bushnell for the money. They bought. I think they bought Bosch and Lomb. Mm-hmm. So for the money, I've always had pretty good luck with their optics. But there's always a lot of freaking debate over. Obviously you don't see as many people. Yeah, how many zoomies? What's the light gathering? So, how big a scope do you put on it?
I always loved I still do love a 3-18 or a 4-24, somewhere in there.
Bottom end 4.5 to 22.
Yeah. 4-22, 3x18. Yeah.
I usually, the more competent you get in shooting, like stay steel targets, practicing shooting stuff far away, the less you need a bunch of magnification. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you lose sight of what's going on when you're really far zoomed in. So I don't need a bunch on the top end. 3-18's always been good for me.
Probably 42 millimeter, 50.
42 to 50.
42 to 50.
And honestly, he's right. My match scope goes to 36 zoomies, and it doesn't go over 15 or 17 ever, unless I'm shooting at 100.
Yeah.
When I'm in competition, it
and
just
you're
lives
certainly
at 15.
probably not in a hunting situation. You might use it as a spot and scope.
I bought that Remington first gun I ever had, a 3x9 Bushnell on it, and it never left 9 power, which is pretty odd,
That is correct.
Some people leave it on 3. I just left mine on 9.
Matter of fact, we started this talking about my favorite gun. It was an old 308, and I can't tell you. I don't know how I hadn't broke the scope because it'd be on 9. It's always on 9, and I'm trying to push it to 15. I'm like, I'm about to break it off. Like, no, that's far as it'll go. And I'll even catch myself. Yep, it's all the way. Yep. It's like, dadgummit.
Kids do that on the 22.
Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Well, thanks for sitting down with us again, Michael. It's always great to talk to you, and you're such a personable guy. You got jokes on jokes. And then you got unique insight, though, and I think that's obviously we all like to cut up and have a good time, but there's always unique insight in there as well. So I appreciate your time on the show. Preston, you got any last questions?
Never do.
All right.
We'll save them for off the air.
All right. Well, let's get back to it. Let's go grab some lunch.
Right on. You guys are welcome. That was great, man. Fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Hornady Podcast. Hopefully you found this as entertaining as we did. We love having Michael on the team. We appreciate you listening, and we'll catch you on the next one.